Paulo Sérgio de Andrade lived a quiet life in Guarulhos, a city humming with energy. His world revolved around numbers and the beauty of mathematics. Paulo's fascination with Bitcoin began as a mathematical curiosity. The fixed supply, the decentralized network, the cryptographic security, it was digital elegance. For Paulo, Bitcoin was more than money. It was a system of pure logic. He spent years studying its white paper, searching for hidden flaws. Paulo began to see Bitcoin not just as technology, but as a human system. This simple truth became the missing piece in the puzzle of Bitcoin's long-term survival. The question haunted him: what happens to Bitcoin when its owners are gone? This overlooked variable would soon challenge the very foundations of the world's most famous digital currency. In early 2025, Paulo saw a shadow over Bitcoin that few acknowledged. The community obsessed over price and adoption, but ignored a critical flaw. What happens when a hodler dies with their private keys? Those coins are lost forever, visible on the blockchain but inaccessible, like treasure in a locked chest. These weren't isolated accidents. Paulo saw a demographic certainty. Each death without a succession plan was a leak in Bitcoin's reservoir. Over decades, millions of leaks could empty it, leaving a digital husk. Paulo called this the great filter of Bitcoin, inspired by the idea that some barriers are nearly impossible to overcome. The permanent loss of coins through death, he realized, was Bitcoin's own great filter. The very security that made Bitcoin powerful also made it fragile. Absolute control meant absolute responsibility. Fail to plan, and your wealth becomes a digital ghost. The community's focus on individual sovereignty blinded it to the collective, long-term consequences. The feature that made Bitcoin strong could also be its undoing. Paulo saw that unless this flaw was addressed, Bitcoin's destiny as a global store of value was at risk. The great filter was real, and it was coming. Paulo turned his insight into data. He gathered global mortality rates and wealth distribution, cross-referencing them with the ages of early Bitcoin adopters. The first wave of users, now aging, held much of the supply. As they passed away, their coins would be lost, an exponential, not linear drain. Each generation would filter out more usable Bitcoin, shrinking the network's utility. Scarcity might drive prices up briefly, but it was a dangerous illusion. With each cycle, more coins would vanish, threatening the network's security and usability. A currency that constantly shrinks isn't a store of value. It's a disappearing asset. Miners would lose incentives, activity would stagnate, and the network would weaken. The great filter wasn't just about lost money. It was about the slow death of the Bitcoin ecosystem. Paulo's research revealed a chilling truth. Without intervention, Bitcoin was programmed to fade away. The code was perfect, but human life was not. Paulo built a predictive model, combining demographic data and Bitcoin ownership. His simulations showed a catastrophic loss. Within 2 generations, up to 64% of Bitcoin could be lost forever. This wasn't a worst-case scenario. It was the median projection. The digital gold rush would end with most treasure buried beyond reach. The problem was systemic, tied to human mortality. Each generation would lock away more coins, compounding the loss. The result, a deflationary spiral, crippling the network. Bitcoin's dream as a global currency would die with forgotten passwords. The network would become a digital museum of inaccessible wealth. Paulo's report laid out the numbers and the consequences. Scarcity would become fatal, leading to hoarding, reduced liquidity, and collapse. He knew he couldn't just present the problem. He needed a solution. The numbers were a warning. Change was essential. Paulo set out to solve Bitcoin's mortal flaw without betraying its core principles. He devised the continuity protocol, a programmed cycle of rebirth for the network. Every 132 years, a span of 4 generations, the blockchain would reset. The old chain would be preserved as a Genesis ledger. A new chain would begin, with coin issuance starting anew. To transfer ownership, users had to perform a proof of continuity transaction before the reset. Only active or successfully inherited coins would move forward. Lost coins would be returned to the pool for mining. This respected active ownership preserved scarcity and pruned dead coins. The protocol transformed Bitcoin from a finite, vanishing resource into a renewable one. It was a plan for the next 100 generations, not just the next decade. The solution was elegant, decentralized, and automatic. Paulo's continuity protocol offered Bitcoin a future beyond the limits of human life. It was a new kind of immortality programmed into the code itself. The cycle of rebirth would ensure Bitcoin's survival for millennia. In 2026, Paulo published his white paper, The Continuity Protocol. He quietly uploaded it to public forums, trusting the strength of his arguments. At first, there was silence. Then, a storm. The paper spread globally, dissected by influencers, developers, and academics. Paulo's quiet life was over. His name was everywhere. The white paper's first half diagnosed the Great Filter, showing with data that most Bitcoin was on a path to permanent loss. The second half prescribed the Continuity Protocol, a 132-year cycle, proof of continuity, and programmed rebirth. Paulo argued this was not a betrayal, but an evolution, fulfilling Bitcoin's promise as a timeless store of value. The paper ended with a challenge. A system that does not plan for continuity plans for extinction. The world was forced to debate Bitcoin's future. The anxiety was real, but so was the hope. The debate had begun, and the stakes were nothing less than digital eternity. Paulo had forced the community to confront its own mortality. The future of Bitcoin was now an open question. The Continuity Protocol split the Bitcoin community. Traditionalists clung to the original code, seeing any change as heresy. For them, lost coins increased scarcity and value, a feature, not a bug. They believed responsibility for keys and inheritance lay with individuals, not the network. The Continuity Protocol, they argued, was central planning in disguise. Code is law, they insisted. The law should not change. Evolutionists rallied behind Paulo's vision. They saw adaptation as essential for survival. Satoshi's dream was a peer-to-peer system for generations, not a digital relic. The protocol was decentralized, automatic, and preserved security. Immutability, they argued, should apply to the ledger, not to the rules themselves. The debate raged for months, a battle for Bitcoin's soul. Should it remain a perfect monument or evolve to survive? The answer would shape the future of digital money. In the end, logic and survival won. The Continuity Protocol, planned as a future soft fork, gained broad consensus. Paulo became known as the guardian of Bitcoin, not its creator, but its savior. He gave Bitcoin the gift of longevity, mapping a path through its greatest challenge. His work revealed a profound truth. The greatest systems endure by renewing themselves. Programmed continuity became a model for other digital networks. Paulo's legacy was bridging the logic of code with the reality of human life. He remained humble, redirecting praise to mathematics. His satisfaction came from knowing Bitcoin now had a future. The flame would not be extinguished by time, but passed on for generations. Paulo's insight ensured Bitcoin's survival for millennia. He became a sage, sought for wisdom on technology and humanity. His greatest gift was showing that renewal is the key to endurance. The Continuity Protocol is more than a story about digital currency. It's a lesson in foresight, adaptation, and responsibility. Bitcoin was a radical idea, but incomplete without a plan for its own future. Paulo showed how to mend the leaks time creates. Programmed renewal became his gift to the world. In an age of digital legacies, permanence matters. The protocol embedded life, death, and rebirth into code, ensuring systems could serve humanity for ages. The Bitcoin of 1,000 years will be a descendant, reborn many times. The debate between tradition and evolution marked crypto's maturation. Paulo's journey proved that profound change can come from unexpected places. He used mathematics to solve a human problem, ensuring Bitcoin would be a lasting inheritance. He saved Bitcoin from itself, giving it a chance at eternity.